Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylist podcast, where we talk all about interiors with interviews with interior stylists, writers and the big names in interiors, from brands and PRs to artists and designers. I also catch up with industry experts in the know and get them to share all their knowledge and advice. There's so much to talk about. I'm your host, Emma Morton-Turner, an interior stylist and a writer with a ton of experience. I set up InsideStylist.com so I could share all that interiors love with you. So don't forget to head on over to the website for not only the show notes from today's episode, but for links to interior stylists, writers and assistants profiles, and a ton of inspiration. But for now, enjoy the show. Hello. Today's episode is 11 things that I wish I knew before I went freelance, because I've learned a lot of lessons over the years, and I think some of that would be really useful to share with people, whether you're experienced or not, whether you're an assistant or already a stylist. I think it's always good to hear about things that are useful in our careers. The main reason this came up is because last year I made a mistake and I feel I should have known better. It doesn't happen very often, but I kind of think if someone had told me how to handle that situation from the moment I went freelance, then I might have made a better choice. So today's episode is all about things I wish someone had told me from the start, the silly little pieces of advice that will make your life that little bit easier, a bit smoother, and hopefully, work-wise, a bit busier. So the first thing is get it in writing. This is a lesson I should have learned a long time ago. In fact, I did learn it a long time ago, but I recently found myself in a situation where I did a styling job without confirming how much I was going to be paid, what the budget was, what the expenses were, and any other little detail. It's something that I normally do very early on in the kind of the initial being hired to do a job. But this was a bit of an unusual situation and not one I found myself in before. But it just reminded me that you should always get your fee and any other details about a job you're doing written down and confirmed right from the get-go. That is the main reason that I created a rate card. I'm going to do a blog post about writing a rate card. There is a podcast about it, but I haven't done a blog post, but I think it would be handy for you to be able to see what I'm talking about. You can see my rate card over on that post. I'll link it through in the show notes so you can see how to set one up. But that lesson of getting it in writing is definitely a top tip. Number 2, there's no such thing as procrastination. Really, there isn't. I've heard this quite a lot recently on other podcasts, and the more I hear it, the more I think it rings true. Why am I avoiding calling that client? What am I doing that I'm not supposed to be doing? Why am I not making that prop or drawing the shoot plans? It's not procrastination. It's a fear or a stress that makes you avoid it. And the more I look into the why I'm not doing something, the easier it is to get my butt in gear and get on with it. There's a great book, I've just reread it. It's called Eat That Frog by Tracy, and it's all about doing the worst job first. So before I start my day, I write a to-do list, and then I number each task in the order of importance, and I don't start until number 2 until number 1 is complete. This is a game changer. Some days I don't get past number 1, but it means that the most important task, the one with the tightest deadline or needs the most prep to do ahead of time, gets done. So it's basically a procrastination eliminator. There is no such thing as procrastination. You're just avoiding something you don't want to do. Number 3. This is something I really wish someone had told me at the very, very beginning. The work will come. It always does. So whether it's January and you've gone all quiet, or it's August and you can't believe all the Christmas shoots are done, the work will pick up again. It's easy to feel like you're the only one who's got a quiet spell, but trust me, you are not. Get your phone out, have a catch up with an editor or a PR or a brand, go for coffee, meet for lunch, or dare I say it, write a blog post. I'm really advocating blogging, people. Whatever you do, don't just sit around on your own and get stressed. Get yourself out there, get seen, because that is the winning formula. Number 4, you will fall off press lists more than once. Oh my word, if I had £1 for every time I'd fallen off a press list, I'd be a rich woman and I wouldn't be sitting here right now, I'd be in the Bahamas. It happens to all of us all the time, and it's totally infuriating. But what I've learned it did take me a while, is that it's not us. It's not a personal thing. The PRs haven't decided that we aren't worthy of an invite. They haven't thought we don't want you coming to our press show. They've just changed PR agencies, and that's it. For a PR, their list is their bread and butter. So when they lose a brand, they take their list with them. So for example, when Debenhams took their PR in-house, the PR agency that was sending the press invites out didn't give the list over to the in-house team. The in-house team had to use the list they have. And if you aren't on that list, you aren't going to get an invite. It's as simple as that. Whether you're on a list or not on a list is whether you get invited. It's not personal. But personally speaking, in this age of there being so many freelance interior stylists and writers out there who produce the content for so many editorial shoots and features, I do think any new agency or in-house team taking on a brand and the PR should be making a little bit more effort into making sure they're not missing vital people from their lists. When Debenhams, I'm sorry, calling out Debenhams, but when Debenhams went in-house, there were a lot of people who worked for national magazines on a monthly basis who were dropped off the list. And personally, I think that team should have gone through the magazines and said, are these people getting the information? Because let's face it, if you're a brand that's struggling, you need as much coverage as possible. You need as many people talking about your brand as possible. And if you're missing off key freelancers, whether they're writing for magazines or not, you still want people at events sharing the content with their thousands of followers. It's just a no-brainer. It would be so easy to share an invite as a member of Inside Stylist. Sorry, I am linking that in there. It's so easy for freelancers to find the content on Inside Stylists. There's an event calendar that basically, if you're a member of Inside Stylist, you can share every event you've got going. I'm just going to mention that it's really windy today. So if you hear a little whoosh going on, that's just the wind. I can't do anything about that. Number 5, you can work in your PJs, but it's better not to. So there's this whole thing about freelancers working from home in their pajamas, but I have to say there's been studies to show that you're more productive if you get dressed as if you're going into an office. So I'm not saying get dressed to high heel shoes and put on a suit, but even if you're just wearing jeans and something on your top half that makes you feel a little bit ready for work, it's not, your mind isn't going into, I'm just in slouch mode. There's something about the tone of your voice on a phone call that translates into an email if you're dressed and ready for the job. You're ready. So it's also good that if the postman knocks, you're not going to be opening the door to receive your paint swatches and fabric swatches in your dressing gown. Not that that matters, but I'd prefer not to. Now, I know there's nothing wrong in this at all. If that's how you roll, you do you. But if you want to be more productive and feel ready to take on the day and go full steam ahead, you might find getting dressed from the get-go helps. Give it a try and let me know if it makes a difference. I really think it made 100% difference in my kind of mental attitude towards work. I even put makeup on even if I'm not leaving the house because I just feel ready. Number 6, motivation can be created. I read this in a blog post and I thought, really? But it's true. We've had a lot going on this year. Motivation has been a bit low. You know, sometimes you just don't feel it. And that, how many times can I press the snooze button thing? Well, I have 2 solutions. 1, get up and get out. This is where Alan Taylor, my dog, who is literally curled up on my lap right now, is very handy. By changing your scenery, you are getting fresh air, you're getting a fresh perspective, and you can put your plans of your day into action. I really kind of feel raring to go. Once I've done the dog walk and I've got that out of the way, I'm kind of ready to go. And also I have my best thoughts when I can't physically stop and write something down. I use my notes on my phone all the time just so that I can keep those ideas down. A short walk outside will change everything. You don't have to have a dog, but if you want to borrow one, you can borrow Alan anytime. But, just get yourself up and out. I have to say, as I just mentioned, it's really windy today. A bracing windy day is, you literally feel like you are blowing the cobwebs away and you do come back feeling very refreshed. I mean, I do the dog walk in the dark most of the time, so it's not even like you need to see the daylight. It's just a change of scenery. Almost like you feel like you've done your journey to work into an office and then you get back and you can get on. I think it's that kind of mental side of things. get accountability. Now, this is massive for me. If you know someone is watching what you're doing, then you're 10 times more likely to get on with it. I've mentioned that I've got a coach. I actually send her a photo of me on the dog walk so she knows I'm up and out the house by a certain time every morning. And this has been a real pressure because there's been quite a few times where I've gone, but I stayed up so late last night. I really don't want to get out of bed early today. And there's a couple of times when I've done it, but actually knowing that she's looking as if to say, well, you said you were going to do it and you're not holding to your word. It's massive. I'll link through to podcast episode 80, which is all about accountability and how to get it. If you're a member of Inside Stylist and you're up for accountability, then drop me a line because I've had a few people who are really interested in this, and finding someone who's like-minded is brilliant. So I will try and connect up people who I think will work well together. So just drop me an email. Number 7, Netflix is the enemy of a quick lunch. I didn't learn this lesson quickly enough. When I first went freelance, I used to watch 20 minutes of Grey's Anatomy when I stopped for lunch. They were perfectly timed advert breaks, literally every 20 minutes. But the moment that finished, I was watching for way too long. Even now, I have to leave the laptop upstairs when I stop for lunch because the temptation is way too great for me. And a 20-minute break can turn into an hour, and then the kids come home, and it's such a knock-on effect. So Netflix is a big no. I tell you what is really good though, YouTube videos. If you want to learn about something, say you want to learn how to find better hashtags on Instagram, or how to do something techie for your blog, or how to do how to make images for, I don't know, contact sheets or something. Watching YouTube videos is brilliant because they're much shorter. You can find 5, 10, 15, 20-minute videos to watch, and then they're short and sweet. Just don't switch Netflix on. Number 8. Yes, I'm sorry, you need insurance. This was a long time coming, actually. I didn't get insurance till a couple of years ago, and I've been freelance 8 or 9 years now. But it's a real personal one for me. I went freelance and I wasn't aware of the insurance implications, and that if you hire an assistant, you really should have employer's liability insurance. And once I knew that, I needed the peace of mind of having that lined up. I also got it because I care about what happens to me and my assistants, and anything expensive I hire, I want the peace of mind of knowing that I'm covered. I've also got the copyright laws covered in my insurance just in case anything arises from that. I even have website insurance, but that's really not the insurance that I'm talking about here. Last year, I got critical illness insurance. It's a totally personal thing, but I've had so many friends get seriously ill recently that the thought of how we would survive as a family if I couldn't work was keeping me up at night. So I decided that it was an expense I needed to bear, and it's been worth every penny, every penny. That is a very personal one though, but I thought it was worth bringing up. Number 9, that tax return thing won't go away. So, do you look at the dreaded pile of invoices and receipts and say year after year, I'm going to do my tax return before the end of April. As the tax year ends, I'm going to get ready and be ahead for next year so I know exactly what I need to pay. And then as January the 31st looms, you're still filing your online tax return really late at night, usually around the 28th, 29th or 30th of January. Since I went freelance, I started using Free Agent to send all my invoices, and my tax return is so easy to do because of this. It basically, the online system just adds up all my invoices. So all I need to do is add my expenses and the system fills it all in for me. Well, not all of it. I need to add the extras, the car expenses and the house expenses and all of that. But as the year progresses, I can see what my tax bill payments are looking like. So up until the end of the year, everything apart from those household and car expenses is showing me what my tax return payments are going to be, or thereabouts. So it's good to get really ahead. I can see what's coming and it's a little bit less scary. So this is really great because it means I can budget for my tax bill way in advance. I should add that I have not yet filed my tax return in April. I've done it in May, but only because I wanted to get an updated mortgage payment. The other thing I've started doing, and my accountant brother-in-law would literally think I was insane for this, but I send around 10% of the fee from every invoice straight to my HMRC account, so straight through to the tax account. It does earn a tiny amount of interest, but for me, it's seeing it add up over the year and having it there ready when I need to pay the bill that makes me feel much more in control and less tempted to use that money that's sitting in the bank for props or a new laptop or a weekend away. My husband has said that if I was working PAYE, it would be taken at source anyway. And this is pretty much doing the same thing. I'm taking it out from the get-go. Number 10, another thing that I wish I knew was that you will need a decent headshot way more than you think. So don't tell anyone, but I'm still using a headshot from when I went freelance 9 years ago. This is not a massive big deal, but I stopped dyeing my hair about 6 years ago and I'm a lot more grey now. More and more I'm being asked for my headshot to run alongside features or for a contributors page, and I really need to get a new one done or ask a friendly photographer to snap one quickly before we start shooting, because I look great on shoot days having got up at the crack of dawn to get flowers from the market. Yeah, might need to think that one. It's good to keep in mind that you're probably going to need an updated headshot more often than not. So if you're on a shoot, get a friendly photographer to just quickly for you. Professional ones are so much better than ones not professionally taken. And number 11, a little personal one here. I was really surprised that Inside Stylists was going to help as many people as it has. And it's more than I ever imagined. And it's just little old me. It took me absolutely ages to set up the Facebook group that was the start of Inside Stylists. I had serious imposter syndrome. Seriously though, who was I to set up this? Who was I to set up this kind of group of like-minded peers? I never expected Inside Stylists to grow into the thriving community that it is. Everyone is so supportive and encouraging, and when I get asked why I share everything I know about interior styling, because people often think that it'll be detrimental to my own styling career, I have to say that this has had exactly the opposite effect. If someone can't do a job, they pass it on, and not just to me, to others. It's not a competition, it's a support network, and it feels so good to give and to get support. If I had known how successful and desired it was to have this group, I would have done it years ago. Every time someone tells me that they've hired a stylist or an assistant from finding their profile on Inside Stylists, it gives me the warm and fuzzies. So thank you so much, Interiors community. You've made it what it is today. It makes working in this industry just that little bit better. So thank you. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to be part of Inside Stylists, sorry, a little plug here, just head on over. There'll be a link in the show notes. There'll be a link on this podcast notes. If you scroll down from the podcast app, the link will be there. But basically, I just try and talk quite a lot about how I'm experienced. I'm not an expert. I've been doing interior styling for 18, 19 years, and I've experienced a lot. I haven't experienced everything, and I'm always learning. I'm always growing. I always want to know more. I've got a major research project going on at the moment that I've kind of set it up with. I'm kind of doing diary entries, and I can't wait to share it with you all. I'm really hoping I have some phenomenal work-related, kind of gaining work-related results from it. So fingers crossed that's happening, but I can't wait to share it with you. And it's those sorts of things that literally light me up. It's sharing all that information with the Inside Stylist members. So I hope this episode has been super useful. If there's something you would like to share that you wish you knew before you went freelance, then please share it in the comments. Share it over on Inside Stylist. There'll be a link to this episode over on there. And on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. It's everywhere. Inside Stylist is everywhere. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Inside Stylist podcast. You can find all the details from today's episode over in the show notes on insidestylist.com. If you enjoyed the show, I'd love it if you would head on over to iTunes and rate and review it. It's the best way to help other people find the show, and I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, bye for now.